You gonna say it?
I don't want to say that.
I'm not gonna say it. You say it.
I don't feel comfortable with it. It's Jesus.
I'm not gonna quote Jesus on this.
He's too radical for me.
We're gonna get hung up. We're gonna get strung up if we quote Jesus on this.
Seriously. It's just too far.
So yeah, we'll let you say it. What do you call a female dog?
I dare you to say it.
Dare it. Yeah.
I dare you to be like Jesus.
Yeah. Quote Jesus on this one. I dare you.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome to Bible Walkthrough.
Welcome to Bible Walkthrough. I'm Wes Warner.
I'm Adam Ayers.
And we're going right to Jesus's, most hip-hop-like verses in the book of Mark. You might think you're listening to something that's explicit or not for kids, but no, this is the Bible. So let's go to Mark 7, starting at verse 24. It says, "He got up and departed from there to the region of Tyre and Sidon. He entered a house and did not want anyone to know it, but he could not escape notice. Instead, immediately after hearing about him, a woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit came and fell at his feet. Now the woman was Greek, a Syrophoenician by birth, and she kept asking him to drive the demon out of her daughter. And he said to her, 'Allow the children to be satisfied first, because it isn't right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs.' But she said to him, 'Lord, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs.' So he told her, 'Shh, because of this reply, you may go. The demon has gone out of your daughter.' And when she went back to her home, she found the child lying on her bed, and the demon was gone."
So, what do you think of this one, Wes? I'm going to let you step on the fire first.
What do I think about it? I just don't like it. I don't like the... Well, you can explain the academic view of the word dogs and everything.
I don't think I have to explain the academic view. We know what do you call a female dog?
I know, I get it.
Especially if you're a hip-hop player, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a derogatory term for us.
Yeah, well, why don't you explain the context of that? And come on, dogs. Go ahead.
Dogs?
Dogs. Dogs. What does that mean? Why is Jesus calling her a dog?
Well, is it insulting to call somebody a dog now?
Sometimes I can call my friend, "What up, dog?"
Yeah.
Okay?
But there are other words for dog.
There is, and...
that we're not going to say on Bible Walkthrough.
No, I don't want to.
I mean, what would you call... Well, viewer, just call up in your mind the words. What would you call a dog? There are male dogs and there are female dogs. What do you call dogs? Is that acceptable language for people to use? If I were to call your wife...
"Hey, Wes, you going to bring your dog with you?"
Or are you going to bring your...
Who are you talking about? Oh, I know. Are you going to say it?
No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. It's Bible Walkthrough. Okay? I don't have the courage that Jesus has to insult people. Okay? I'm pretty good at it, but not like Jesus. But that word is not acceptable. It's not acceptable to say, "You're going to bring your..."
Why is it not acceptable if Jesus said it?
It's not. I don't think it's acceptable at the time for Jesus to say it.
Really?
Those are fighting words.
Uh-huh.
You don't call someone a dog. You call people dogs like Goliath and David call each other dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, dogs are the very lowest. It's calling somebody up.
Yeah.
You're my.
Yeah.
To call someone a dog is that offensive, and scholars know that about this passage. A dog in the Middle East at this time, to call somebody that is the lowest insult, and it pushes you down. And so I'm not gonna give food to you. Beep. And people try to make a lot of the variants of term on kune. This is a variant term of kune. Smaller dogs, but dog is dog. And
that's like saying, "You little."
You little. Beep. Yeah. So it doesn't really help it to go, "You little."
You little beep. Yeah.
It's still just as offensive. It's a dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are people try to interpret this with all kinds of strategies to make Jesus sound nicer, to make Jesus sound like, well, the people of Tyre and Sidon, they fed they had more power than people in the and that's not the case. You know, the people of Tyre and Sidon in Acts, they have to come to Herod and beg of him for food. There's a breadbasket issue going on here. This is one of the interesting things is that Jesus has gone to this region, which is not a Jewish region, and he's staying in a house, and he doesn't want people to know it. It says it explicitly. Jesus went to this house. Now, we don't know if this is a Jewish house or a Gentile house, but it's certainly in a Syrophoenician area. Okay, if it's not a Jewish house, if it's a Gentile house, Jesus as a rabbi being there is really forbidden. You don't go stay with Gentiles.
Yeah, unclean.
Okay? Unclean. There's a very strict ethnic separation. You can imagine the South in the 50s. You can imagine someplace in the world today where ethnicities just don't mix. But either way, he's in an area that's not a Jewish area, and he's staying in a house that might or might not. If it's not a Jewish house, he's in big trouble. If he is at a Jewish house, then they're an ethnic minority here. But this Gentile woman just waltzes in. That's totally rude. Because if Jesus is staying at a Jewish house, she's not supposed to be in the Jewish house. You know, even in contemporary societies, if you're in say an Indian community and they're cooking food, and you're not rightly clean, and you walk into the kitchen, they have to throw away the food today, because it violates custom. So she comes into this house. She's a Syrophoenician woman.
A pagan.
A pagan.
Right.
She's either violating a Jewish house or Jesus is staying at a pagan house and shouldn't be there. Either way, she's making a scene that she shouldn't be making because Jesus doesn't want it to be known. But she's trying to leverage this social situation to get a favor. I'll shut up when you give me a favor. And he's like, shut up. Right? And
Shut up.
She's like, as soon as you get the demon out of my daughter, then I'll stop making a scene. Because it's sort of like showing up a celebrity in a compromised position. Jesus is in a compromised position, especially if she's there. It says she hears about it, she comes and she bows down at his feet. So now here's the Jewish rabbi in a compromised house with a Gentile woman at his feet.
It reminds me of the other woman at his feet wiping
Exactly.
his hair, but
and
total different response.
Yeah, but they reacted the same way. They're like,
well, the Pharisees did.
yeah, why is he letting this chick touch him that way?
Yeah.
So if she's a Syrophoenician woman, she just defiled the rabbi.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you touching me?
Mm-hmm.
So, and she's I'm not going to let go until you do me a favor. So she's really violating lots of social norms and putting Jesus in a very precarious position.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a kind request. Mm-hmm. This is somebody really putting it to Jesus and leveraging him, leveraging his Jewishness, leveraging his compromised position in this house somehow, paying no attention to the fact that she's a woman, he's a man, she's not a Jew, he is a Jew, there's not supposed to be dealings between these. She just tromps right in there and grabs hold of his feet or bows at his feet in a way that makes him unclean and basically says, I'm not going till you give me a tip. That's
okay.
That's pretty hairy.
Mm-hmm.
So Jesus responds, why should I give you anything? Beep. I'm not supposed to give. I'm not going to give good stuff to dogs. He has to react indignant at her violation of him. Otherwise, he's not a good Jew and he's not a good rabbi. He can't allow himself to be defiled this way. He has to react strongly, like, get off me. I saw a clip. I'm not going to say what the show is, but I saw a clip of a guy who does food stuff, and he was allowed into a North African Muslim kitchen where only women make these special dishes because it was a TV show, and they let him in there on a special exception to see how the women prepare these dishes. And he asked if he could prepare one, and they were pretty offended, but they made a concession because here's a TV show and it's a foreigner. And then he got it done. They said, okay, that's a good job. And out of impulse, he turned to hug the gal that he was working with. Okay? This is a Muslim woman in North Africa. And he goes to hug and to give her a kiss on the cheek. You know what she did? She's like this.
Mm-hmm.
Fast. I mean, if she had been a Western fighter, he'd have been dead, right? She had her hand up and in his face immediately. And she's shocked. It's as though he had palmed her, you know? Mm-hmm. It's that shocking for this woman to be doing this to him. For her to be on the rabbi's feet like that, showing no regard. And Jesus has to react very forcefully to preserve his situation. So he says, I don't give anything to, and this is dogs. You can supply the term. It's not right to give the food to the dogs. And she responds, yeah, but hey, we'll take the leftovers. And there's a trick there. Because Jesus, she has compromised his social position, and he puts her in a position by giving her a riddle. And the riddle is this. I call you a dog. How do you react? Now, if you get insistent, I have the right to totally reject you right here. But if you're willing to take the position of being a dog, which is kind of the social payback for doing this violation, you have to basically apologize and take a lower social position for intruding and presuming that much. If you're willing to take that lower position, you can get your goodies. So in order to negotiate, Jesus is saying she has to take the position, the social position of being a dog. There's a riddle. You don't take the food and throw it to the dogs. She goes, but dogs get leftovers. And it's cool, the response here. He said to her, for that saying, and that's why Mark is probably the more original form rather than the Matthean form. We're not going to get to the Matthew form. But he says, for that answer, because you give that answer, you're going to get what you want. Not because you came in here and forced my hand, but because you were willing to take the position of being the dog. So the only way to get around this saying is to say, okay, we'll say I'm a dog. Can I get the leftovers? Jesus goes, good answer. You take that position, you take the humble position. You accept the insult for barging in here and insulting and defiling me. Then I'll give you your goodie. I don't mind giving you your goodie, but you're not going to get it by coming in and forcing my hand as a Gentile in this house when I didn't want people to even know I'm here. So he escapes her leveraging and her forcefulness, preserves his social dignity, and gives her a way out that if she's willing to be humble and stop being so aggressive, she can get her goodie. And she chooses the right thing. She says, I'll be humble. Sure, I'll be the dog. If that's what it takes, me playing a dog, sure, I'll take it. I'm a dog. Can I get my daughter healed? And Jesus goes, good job. Good job, girl. Right on. Yeah, for that saying, for that answer, you answered the riddle rightly. You got the key. Sure. And she goes, and her daughter's better. And what could have been totally explosive has been diffused by Jesus because he insults her. He corrects her behavior, he preserves his dignity, and heals the girl all in one thing. And this could have been a news nightmare. Right? Local rabbi photos, girl at feet in the house at where he's hiding.
So do you think this would be a greater insult than having like that woman that wiped her hair on his feet and they said, oh, she's probably a prostitute or something? Or
they're both pretty offensive.
Yeah.
But to have a Gentile doing this is really, really bad.
Even more offensive than
at least equally. But probably a Gentile is more offensive than a prostitute.
Because, well, by the way he reacts here,
Yeah. He totally knee-jerk.
It's totally different reaction.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting.
He's not accommodating at all. He will not put up with this.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to me to see that the way he approaches the Gentiles here. Because there is some other times, like when the centurion came up, that guy was a Gentile, right? Roman centurion.
Yeah. Or the woman at the well.
He didn't call them dogs.
They're entreating. They're not violating.
So it's a different kind of approach that they're coming up to him with. But here he calls this Gentile woman a dog. It's interesting to see the difference in the way that he approaches this Gentile woman. But he still has a way for her to get healed, if depending on how she responds. And here, it's because of her reply, like you explained, the humility that she showed. Or in Matthew, we're not looking at that, but because of the faith that she had, which I still think is interesting, because it shows that even in people that are not Jewish, there's still a way to be saved. There's still a way to receive healing and salvation. So near or far, there is still a way to receive the touch of the Lord that you need. I like that message in it.
Yeah. And he not only gives this way for her to be healed and to tone down her social aggressiveness, he also shows her the door. He goes, for the saying, you may go. You may go. We're done here. Man, like, this is all over. You can go now. And which also is very gracious to say, I'm not going to continue to take offense that you've come in here and violated me. It's like,
why didn't you just say no, though? No, I'm not going to heal her. Get out of here.
Because Jesus is being gracious.
Yeah.
He wants to find a way to heal the girl and to give the gal her request. She's just doing it the wrong way.
That's interesting right there, that he didn't say no. He was waiting for her to come up with a better response or a better way to approach him.
Yeah. It's almost as though Jesus is saying, I would love to give this to you, but not when you ask that way.
Yeah.
I can't give this to you when you're demanding and presuming, coming in and defiling. I can give it to you if you're willing to be humble and give a request.
Kind of like how a parent approaches a child when they don't come up and say please and may I please have this. I always wait for my child until they say it in the right way, and then I'll give it to them.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Yeah. And while scholars tend to focus on Jesus' response, or the offensiveness of Jesus' response, they very rarely notice the offensiveness of the woman for doing this. So
yeah, it's true. I don't hear that very often.
She's very offensive. Cool. Well, we hope that this has helped you. If you're going to ask something of the Lord, take a humble position. And if the Lord rebukes you, take an even more humble position.
Yes, there is. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And if Jesus calls you up, beep, then just go,
yes,
that's
right.
me. That's right. Yes, that's me. Okay. So we will see you next text and next time on Bible Walkthrough. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for watching.